In a previously unreleased statement, the late former WWE star Ashley Massaro accused Vince McMahon of preying on wrestlers. This is according to a new bombshell article from Vice. Speaking of the allegations made against the former TKO executive chairman, WWE Hall of Famer Bret the Hitman Hart has denounced the former WWE CEO as well. We have an update on WWE's deal with X to air the WWE Speed television series, and Triple H is set to appear on SmackDown tonight to address the fallout of the WrestleMania 40 kickoff show press conference. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And once again, the headlines are being dominated by the accusations made against former TKO and WWE Executive Chairman Vince McMahon. Once again, some of the allegations we're going to get into in today's video are quite graphic, so viewer discretion be advised. This contains, obviously, descriptions of allegations of a very disturbing nature. Now, this comes once again from a bombshell article from Vice News, who are saying that in a previously unpublished statement given before her 29 death by apparent suicide, Ashley Massaro, a former WWE wrestler, said company founder Vince McMahon sexually preyed on female wrestlers and that she was punished for rejecting his advances by being given bad scripts she believed were meant to destroy her reputation, behavior, she said, he was well known for. The statement was given to her lawyers as they worked on a sworn affidavit published shortly after her death, in which she said she was sexually assaulted on a military base while in Kuwait on a WWE tour and that management covered it up. The attorneys ultimately left it out because it wasn't relevant to the central claims in the lawsuit in which they were representing her, which concerned concussions. Quote, I felt extraordinarily uncomfortable, Massaro said, describing what she said were McMahon's attempts to get her to come to his hotel room alone late at night. Quote, he began calling the hotel room phone and my cell phone non-stop, end quote. As Vice News previously reported, WWE publicly denied that its upper management knew about the sexual assault allegation, but that reportedly was untrue. A lawyer for former Executive Vice President of WWE Talent Relations John Laurinaitis said he and most of upper management were aware of it, a claim corroborated by previous statements from a former WWE doctor. A spokesperson for TKO, WWE's parent company, declined to comment when provided a detailed accounting of the allegations in the statement and questions raised by it, aside from confirming that top backstage employee named in the statement, Michael Hayes, currently works for WWE and clarifying the nature of his job. A lawyer said to represent McMahon did not respond to a request for comment. In the previously secret statement, Massaro, who joined WWE as a wrestler in 2005, represented the company as a Survivor contestant and Playboy model, and ultimately was released in 2008, asserts that she saw McMahon making out with female wrestlers in the locker room and that he sexually harassed her. She also says that after she rejected his advances, he wrote demeaning scripts for her to perform that she inferred were meant to end her career and destroy her reputation, something that she said had previously happened to other female wrestlers before they had left the company. Now, Vice say that they're withholding the name of the wrestler to protect her privacy. She could not be reached for comment. Now, she also details two of McMahon's long-serving lieutenants counseling her on how to deal with his behavior. Rumors have long circulated about a WWE casting couch in which women were put in position to either yield to the sexual demands of male managers or be humiliated on camera or fired or both. They have been difficult to substantiate, in part because women believed to have been subject to such schemes have been hesitant to speak out of fear of retaliation from WWE, which until recently was controlled by McMahon and his family. Currently, it is controlled by TKO Group Holdings, a conglomerate headed by Hollywood power player Ari Emanuel, whose Endeavor merged its own UFC with WWE last year. McMahon was brought in as the chair of the newly formed company after he had resigned from WWE following Wall Street Journal reporting on secret hush money payments and allegations of sexual abuse and misconduct of women who previously worked for WWE. McMahon resigned from TKO 2 weeks ago after being named alongside WWE and former talent relations head John Laurinaitis as defendants in a civil sex trafficking lawsuit that he alleged he had sexually assaulted, trafficked, and even defecated on an employee. Both men have denied the allegations. TKO has sought to portray the allegations as being in the past and having to do with two men who are no longer associated with the company. The creative and talent relations role they held for most of this century are now filled by Triple H Levesque, McMahon's son-in-law and hand-picked protege, who was groomed to replace McMahon over more than 20 years, first as a wrestler and now, of course, as a member of management. Now, Vice News obtained the statement from Konstantin Kyrgios and Erica Mirabella, lawyers who represented Massaro and dozens of other former WWE wrestlers in a lawsuit seeking damages related to traumatic brain injuries. That lawsuit was dismissed in 2018 and appeals, which reached the Supreme Court, were denied. Kyrgios was sanctioned by the judge and eventually ordered to pay more than $300,000 in fines for his conduct in the case. As part of the suit, the lawyers collected statements from dozens of wrestlers, including Massaro, and refined them into sworn affidavits. As Mirabella described it, they spoke in detail about Massaro's experiences in WWE, and then Mirabella wrote a draft affidavit. Massaro reviewed that and then offered feedback, new details, and edits on a phone call, which Mirabella used in preparing a new draft. They repeated this process several more times to come up with the final draft of the affidavit. Quote, Ashley was extremely detailed, thoughtful, and thorough throughout this entire process, Mirabella told Vice News. The previously unpublished statement was initially included as a section in the finalized affidavit, but members of Massaro's legal team ultimately decided to leave it out because it wasn't clearly relevant given the lawsuit was about concussions. Quote, our colleagues ultimately decided we should focus only on the sexual assault and physical in-ring injuries Ashley sustained, Mirabella said. So I discussed this with Ashley and she agreed that we could remove it. So it was deleted. We then finalized the affidavit, she signed it, and we submitted it to the court, end quote. Now, the statement reads as follows. It's been reproduced verbatim, and it was provided to Vice News with the exception of one redaction. It says, quote, during my time with WWE, I had observed Vince McMahon making out with other divas in the locker room, but he never paid attention to me, and I assumed I was not his type. This changed after my Playboy cover was released. I was fortunate enough to be allowed to fly on the company jet and stay at the same hotels as the executives for a period of time so that I could get home faster to spend more time with my daughter. On one of these occasions, Vince was attempting to get me alone with him in his hotel room late at night, and I felt extraordinarily uncomfortable. He began calling the hotel room phone and my cell phone non-stop. I called Kevin Dunn to explain the situation, and he said I should tell Vince I was not feeling well and I would see him on TV the next day, so I did. Immediately after that night, Vince started writing my promos for me. Vince does not write promos for female wrestlers. That is the job of the creative department, and he certainly wouldn't have, under normal circumstances, written a promo for me. But he did, and the promos were written with the clear intention of ruining my career. I brought the first script Vince wrote for me to the WWE employee in charge of creative at the time, Michael Hayes, and he said, you're not saying this, who the hell wrote this, or who the expletive wrote this? And I told him Vince did. He said, well, kid, these are the breaks, meaning that Vince wanted to end my career and destroy my reputation on my way out. He is known for this type of behavior and also did this too, redacted, upon her departure from WWE. In addition, after that night, each time I walked past him, he would make vulgar sexual comments that were clearly designed to make me uncomfortable, end quote. Now, Kevin Dunn, referenced in the statement, is WWE's longtime production chief, who served as one of McMahon's loyal right-hand men for more than 40 years. He left the company last month. In Massaro's affidavit, he is said to be one of the men who attended a meeting in which she was told not to speak about her claim to have been sexually assaulted in Kuwait, in part because it could harm WWE's relations with the military. Quote, he told me not to let one bad experience ruin the good work they were doing, Massaro said of McMahon in the affidavit. He could not be reached for comment, and TKO did not provide contact information for the representative. Hayes is a former star wrestler who works and has for many years as a member of the creative team responsible for planning out and scripting WWE shows. Now, obviously, these allegations continue to make mainstream headline news, and there have been several reactions to them. And the latest wave of reaction to the allegations has come from someone who has a checkered past with Vince McMahon, and that's WWE Hall of Famer Bret the Hitman Hart. Now, after Janelle Grant's lawsuit, Bret Hart says he's lost any respect that he once had for Vince McMahon. Hart gave his first public comments on the situation in an interview with Slate that was published today, that being Friday the 9th of February. He stated that he's going to speak his truth and isn't worried about McMahon's feelings because McMahon never cared about Hart. Here's what Hart had to say. He said, quote, "I don't have any problem with everybody kicking his head around the parking lot. I'm okay with the truth coming out." Hart then told Slate that he's embarrassed that he ever respected McMahon. He said, quote, "I always had a respect for him. Now it's tainted. I'm embarrassed that I thought so highly of him." Now, Grant, a former WWE employee, accuses McMahon of physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and sex trafficking in her lawsuit. McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis are named as defendants. In response to an allegation in the lawsuit where McMahon allegedly defecated on Grant's head and back while she was being sexually assaulted by another man, Hart called it sick and disgusting. He said, quote, "When you get that vision in your head, you go, that's messed up. It's too sick and disgusting to really imagine." Now, Grant's lawsuit includes graphic text messages allegedly sent by McMahon. Quote, "They sound like Vince," Hart said. Hart told Slate that sexual abuse is something that he had heard whispered about during his time in the wrestling industry. He said the following, quote, "I don't think this is the only instance of this kind of predatory behavior. I think you'll find that it's everywhere in WWE." Hart believes that Grant's allegations are something that McMahon will always be associated with. He said, quote, "It's like Jeffrey Dahmer, Harvey Weinstein, or Jeffrey Epstein. Vince will be a joke. He'll be used for humor, and you'll shake your head at the shock value of some joke about what did Vince McMahon do. He'll always be associated with this story, especially as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger." Now, Hart added that at a convention a few months ago, he apologized to former WWE referee Rita Chatterton for having not believed her 1986 sexual assault accusation against McMahon. In 2022, McMahon agreed to pay Chatterton a multi-million dollar settlement. McMahon said he still denied Chatterton's claim, but was settling it to avoid the cost of litigation. When talking about the incident involving apologizing to Chatterton, Hart said, quote, "I apologize from the bottom of my heart, and I said, I believe that what happened to you, and I apologize. I was wrong." Now, Hart then sent Slate writer Abraham Josephine Reisman the following text message after their interview, saying, quote, "I think despite all the issues I ever had with Vince, I know deep down I always respected him. But now, knowing what kind of weirdo he became, I have absolutely zero respect for him. I do not think I could ever shake his hand if he extended it. Too creepy." So certainly Bret slamming Vince McMahon. Of course, McMahon resigned from WWE and its parent company, TKO Group Holdings, after Grant's lawsuit was filed last month. McMahon has denied the allegations and claimed that he will vigorously defend himself against any and all of them. Now, we saw last night at the WWE WrestleMania 40 kickoff show press conference that WWE Speed is coming to social media. Now, X, formerly known as Twitter, is getting into the ring with WWE. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the Elon Musk-owned social platform, previously known as Twitter, has signed a 2-year deal with WWE for a new exclusive weekly video series called WWE Speed. The concept will feature timed matches meant to be completed in 5 minutes or less. The series, which is planned to be live to tape, will debut this spring and will feature WWE superstars from across its roster. The content will be exclusive. The matches will not be repurposed from any other WWE programming, with new episodes debuting 52 weeks per year. The deal marks a significant push into entertainment for X, which announced a 10-show deal with Range Media Partners last month, as well as new shows from former CNN host Don Lemon, sports talk host Jim Rome, and former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. X also streamed exclusive content from Fox last year for last year's FIFA World Cup, and this year will stream some content from NBC Universal tied to the 2024 Paris Olympics. Sports, including wrestling, which is somewhat sports adjacent, of course, though usually live, is a major driver of conversation on X. The WWE, meanwhile, has been dramatically reworking its right deals since becoming TKO last year in its merger with Endeavor's UFC. Most recently, Netflix inked a 10-year, $5 billion deal for Raw, Raw and the WWE's international rights. SmackDown left Fox for USA Network with some specials on NBC as well, and WWE NXT left USA Network for the CW. WWE Speed, given its weekly cadence and short runtime, is a smaller deal than those long-form programs, but it does suggest a willingness by WWE to slice rights and look for new ways to add rights revenue since Endeavor acquired a controlling stake. X, meanwhile, gets exclusive content that straddles sports and entertainment and has advertising appeal. Indeed, X is expected to package it for marketers in a bid to expand its sponsorship business. What are your thoughts on WWE Speed? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Finally, speaking of the WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference last night, we're going to be getting some fallout tonight on SmackDown on Fox because Triple H will appear on SmackDown to address the fallout from the WrestleMania 40 kickoff. WWE announced that Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque will appear on the February 9th episode of SmackDown, one day after the buzzworthy WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference where The Rock slapped Cody Rhodes. This is what WWE said, quote, "Last night, Cody Rhodes announced that he will challenge undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. The shocking declaration highlighted an emotionally charged confrontation between Reigns, The Rock, Rhodes, and World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins that resulted in absolute chaos at the WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference. Tonight, Triple H will address the event's earth-shattering fallout on the blue brand. What will the Chief Content Officer have to say? Find out at tonight's edition of SmackDown." Now, WWE has also announced that Bayley will discuss her departure from Damage Control on the February 2nd episode of SmackDown. Damage Control turned on Bayley, and she chose Io Sky as her opponent for WrestleMania 40 to challenge for the Women's Championship. In addition to that, SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis is going to announce Logan Paul's next challenger for the United States Championship. We've got an undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship #1 contender match as Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne face off against DIY, and also a Women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match as Bianca Belair faces off against Michin Mia Yim. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.